Raise Happy Children Intensive, Week 7, Trusting Children. Week 7 Action. Trusting is your first choice. Outline for this week's session. Benefits of trusting children. Steps toward trusting children. Trusting equals your first choice. Benefits of trust. Trusted children develop into trustworthy children. It is so exciting to trust children and to have them prove that your trust in them was warranted. Perhaps not the first try or even the third, but then how often among humans is the first try the only one needed to achieve competency? As you watch for it and expect to see evidence of trustworthy behavior, you see it more and more. Trustworthy children are a joy. You don't have to be filled with worries and anxieties about them. You know they've learned a lot about what's good for them and what's not. Also, since you trust them, they can't help but trust your good judgment and come to you easily when they need help. It's better for children to practice their decision-making as soon as they have an interest in doing so. Offer them your guidance if you feel it's necessary. However, be willing to not interfere, if at all possible, if they prefer to follow their own advice. Most often, it will have no serious consequences, and you both might learn something of value. Steps toward trusting. The sooner you improve your self-respect, the easier it will be to start trusting your children. This does not mean that you do not offer guidance. You must share information and feelings with your children. Your needs, feelings, and beliefs are a critical part of any situation you are in. However, if you look at situations analytically, you might see that most of the times you scold or correct or engage in a win-lose battle with your child, it was unnecessary and even detrimental. Observe your child without judgment or prejudgment as much as possible. The following statements are beliefs or self-fulfilling prophecies. You are always making messes. Oh no, he's going to drop that. He's always so clumsy. You affirm them to yourself repeatedly, so they're bound to be true in your experience. You can change these thoughts if you don't want them to be true. Sharing your needs and feelings with your children is also a form of trusting them. This information encourages your child to figure out how to help you, especially if you have modeled this to your child. This means that when your child has shared needs and feelings with you, your first thought was how to help them. In this situation, you are not the only one to come up with solutions. Your child learns to solve their own problems, and they also practice being sensitive to the needs of others and adjusting their behavior when others need them to do so. In his book, Teaching Children Self-Discipline, Dr. Thomas Gordon mentions several studies about this way of relating to children. This approach has been found to be much more effective in getting children to modify their behavior to help the adult than when the adult gave orders and expected the children to follow them. He also says it has been demonstrated that this approach greatly increases the self-esteem of the children. It could be the deciding factor for them, so do not hesitate to share your needs and feelings with them. Children need to be trusted. It's up to you to trust them to develop the ability to handle their life experiences responsibly. Most likely, they often want to decide about areas of their lives which seem beyond their abilities. Do what you can to strengthen your faith in them and the life process within them. Unless your heart cannot find peace with the decisions they make, let them practice. You are still available to help them, so it's a great time for them to practice making decisions and learning from the results, for increasing and developing their skills and abilities, and for expanding their interests. Children can be trusted with control over many aspects of life that adults often assume they cannot handle. As Bob Schwartz points out in his book, Diets Don't Work, they can even be trusted to choose the food they eat. I once read of an experiment in which children suffering from malnutrition were put into a room filled with food. There were all kinds of delicious things to eat, including sweets and candy. And in one corner there was a kettle of gruel. The gruel wasn't as appetizing as the rest of the food, but it was loaded with all the nutrients the children's bodies lacked. The children were told they could have anything they wanted, and almost without exception, they headed for the gruel. They couldn't get enough of it. The younger the child, the more you can trust their movements to be inner-directed. They are closer to the time when their life was totally motivated by inner guidance that guides development until about 2.5 and helps guide them from then on. Adopting a win-win attitude toward interacting with your children rather than the traditional win-lose approach can make trusting them a natural process. Win-win means that in conflict situations, big or small, you and your children resolve the situation in a mutually satisfying manner. Then, in agreed-upon circumstances, you can learn to trust their decisions and their actions, and they can show you that they are trustworthy people, and vice versa. Affirmations of trust. I trust you to know what's important to you. I trust you to know what is good for you to eat. I trust you to tell me what I need to know. I trust you to work with me on our problem areas.